You're on because you're curious as to what all of this 76 Hard is all about. I will tell you, when we originally decided to implement 76 Hard, it was at the beginning of the year, or maybe at the end of last year. We were thinking of ways to kind of jumpstart people's production. As you know, when the year's starting out, not everyone has the best January or February. It's sometimes slow to get the train moving down the track, if you will. And so we decided to create a program, which at the time we just called it 75 Hard for Real Estate. We decided to create something that we believed would help real estate agents accomplish their first half of the year goals. And I'm sure we have plenty of you on that attended that or completed that. So if you're joining us, please let us know where you're joining us from. And also, if you were someone who completed the first round of what ended up being called 76 Hard, and we'll explain that in a second, let us know that you are a completed champion of that if you're joining us for your second time. So we got about a third of the way through the program, and we decided that we would add a mastermind to the end. And that's where it became 76 Hard. And since then, it's been copied and duplicated a bunch of times by a bunch of different organizations, which is great. I mean, listen, if we can inspire everyone in the industry to sell more, do more, and make more money and have more fun, then that's part of our job and why we exist today. Speaking of why we exist and who we are, for those that are not familiar, my name's Jeff Glover with Glover U. I've been listing and selling real estate now for 22 years. I've been in leadership for 20 of those 22 years, and Glover U exists to impact millions to live their most unreal life. We are a broker agnostic training and coaching organization for agents and leaders from all over the US and Canada. And we have basically every single brokerage represented, whether it's between our coaches, our clientele, and for those of you that attend our events, every single franchise and independent or corporation is also in attendance to our stuff. So today I've got Taylor Kerrigan here with me, who we worked together very closely on the first round of 76 Hard, coming up with the homework, coming up with the ideas of things that we wanted to create the structure around. And honestly, where a lot of this stemmed from is things that we saw that was working in our environment. We've had a lot of people through the years say, Jeff, or Taylor, would you guys expand to Ohio or Colorado or Phoenix or somewhere? We'd love to be in your environment because it appears as you guys have daily structure. And the answer to that is always no. Glover U is our passion, and that is where the focus is going to be. So we're not interested in expanding our real estate team outside of the state of Michigan. And we thought, okay, but how could we recreate a similar environment? An environment to where our agents at Glover Agency have a task every day. We check in with them every day. They have to report the results every day. We look at essentially our cadence as a team and the success that we've had as a team, which for those that are not familiar, in the last 11 years, we've been the number one home selling team in the state of Michigan, 10 out of the last 11 years. So people are always like, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? And so back in December, end of the year last year, before we rolled out 75 Hard at the time, now it's 76 Hard, we thought, okay, how could we recreate that same environment for those that are not with us? Doesn't matter whether they're in the US or Canada, or they might even be in Michigan, without having them join our team. And so 76 Hard was born. And we're here now for the second time to explain to those that have already signed up for it, because I know we have close to 100 or so, I believe, that have already signed up for it. And those that are considering signing up for it, we're here to explain to you what it is so you know exactly what you're getting yourself into. And when I say getting yourself into, it is not for the faint of heart. There's no doubt about it. It is going to be uncomfortable. There's going to be a handful of you that don't make it through. And let me just touch on that for a second. When we announced this at our summit, which is always in January in a warmer climate, it was in Phoenix this year. When I announced it at the summit, I stood on stage and said, it is my goal that 100% of the people that sign up for this program get their money back. Because as you're going to hear, you put a little money up and then you get it back when you complete it. And the nice thing is we had the majority get their money back. So we were happy about that, but we wanted everyone to get their money back. And so this is a true money back program, which you're going to hear in just a second. And we did this because, we were a little nervous. There was a lot of talk of change coming in the industry around commissions and buyer's agency, which obviously we know what that looks like today. And people were at that event saying, you know what, my year isn't starting out exactly like I would like it to. How can you help me? And so we thought, well, we got something that we can put together that includes daily structure and accountability. And it helped a lot of people, so much so that at our last event, just 2 weeks ago now, at the retreat up in Traverse City, we had a panel of producers that they didn't just add 5 or 6 units to their business in 5 or 6 months. I mean, they added between 10, 15, 20, 30 transactions and now have lifelong habits that are going to stick with them forever. So again, it's awesome to see those people that have joined us, that are joining us again, and anyone who completed it, congratulations to you guys for that. I noticed a lot of your chat is coming to hosts and panelists. Forgive me for not saying this at the beginning. It defaults to hosts and panelists. Go ahead and change that drop down to everyone in the chat. So it says to hosts and panelists. Change that to everyone, because you guys are all saying where you're from and yeah, you completed it, but no one can see it. And so we want people to be able to see where you're from. So if you commented and it went to hosts and panelists, change it to everyone, all right? And then comment again and drop that in the chat so we can see where everyone's from. But otherwise, it defaults to hosts and panelists. So go ahead and get that changed around. All right, Taylor. So obviously, you had the fun of kind of administering the program.
Yeah.
Tell us some of the things that you experienced and some of the things that you witnessed take place for a lot of the producers that were in the program.
Yeah. So first, before we get started with that, I just want to make sure everyone is clear on what 76 Hard is. It is additional accountability. So it is not something where you're like, you're not necessarily in a daily coaching program. I tell people all the time, 76 Hard, and I know we've got quite a few of our first round completion attendees on it. I see Brandon's on and multiple others as well. It is the activities that you should be doing every single day, and we are just holding you accountable to those things. Mm-hmm. And so it starts August 5th and it runs until November 18th. And I get the question all the time of like, what if I have vacations during that time? What if I've got X going on? You have enough time to complete all of the homework if you include maybe working a weekend or you double up some days. So I think it's important before we get into anything that you know that, because you might immediately think, oh man, in the next 76 days, I've got a week-long vacation or I've got X going on or Y going on. That's totally okay. We plan for that. I see Kim Berry's on. She completed our first round. She can attest. We give you more than enough time to complete, the assignments by the expected date. So let's get into number one. I want you to write down if you want to implement.
Well, let me just say one thing on the cruise thing. One of our panelists, Tanya, out of the DC area, she signed up for it knowing that she had a full-blown, I think she was on a cruise, and she just said, you know what? I woke up every morning about an hour before everybody else. I went down to the business center, the library, or whatever, so I was by myself, and I completed my tasks, I closed my laptop, and I was done for the day. Yeah. And she was able to stay with it even though she was on a cruise. And to that point, the homework tasks are Monday through Friday. And you give everyone, it's essentially 75 days of homework. The 76th day is a 1 hour, forgive me, I think I started saying this. The 76th day is a 1 hour mastermind with me for all that have completed it. And we talk about wins, we talk about challenges, and we talk about how to keep it going moving forward. But you really have 75 days of assignments. But if you look at it, you've got like 100 or so days to complete them all, 120 or whatever days to complete them all. So since most of us are kind of used to working 5.5 or 6 days a week anyways, if I miss a Wednesday, I know I'm working Saturday, I can make it up on Saturday.
Correct. Yeah. And so I think a lot of people, it holds them back because of the vacations or the obligations or so forth. Know that it's structured that way on purpose, of it only being business days, because we respect, obviously, everyone should have work-life balance, living their own real life. We want to make sure we support you in that. Mm-hmm. So let's write down the steps that you need to be aware of as you get started with 76 Hard. Mm-hmm. Number one, I want you to write down homework. So in our program, if you join or when you join the Glover U 76 Hard, the homework is posted every morning at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So for my West Coasters, I know that's a little early for you. That's okay. We want to make sure that you wake up in the morning and you know what's expected of you that day. I always get the question, can I have the homework in advance? Can you show me what all 76 days look like? And the answer is no. And the reason why is because for those of you that maybe have done like the 75 Hard Health Challenge, Of course, could you try to do all of those workouts or all of those expectations in a week period? Sure, you probably would go crazy, and you're not actually building a habit. The reason why we only introduce it to you every single day is because we want you to work on it in that day so you're effectively building the habit. And any of our graduates will tell you they are still feeling those lead generation habits or those skill building habits that they created during the program because they did it for 76, straight business days.
Yeah. And by the way, I think about, okay, if let's just say, for instance, you develop 10 habits through 76 hard, there's a pretty good chance 2 or 3 of them are going to stick with you, maybe even for life. And that's like the number one thing when we interviewed that panel from the retreat. That's the number one thing I heard out of each and every one of them, even during the prep calls. They would say to me, you know what, I'm not doing this every day like I was during 76 hard, and I think I need to get back to it, but at least I'm doing A, B, and C. And I would ask them, were you doing A, B, and C before? Nope, I was never doing that. And it's just part of who they are today. And, for those of you that were at the retreat, you might remember one of our keynotes, Dr. Eric Thomas. Of course, he shared a lot with us, but the number one resounding thing that he talked about was the difference between the best and the rest, which we've heard this in probably every success book ever written, can be found in the little daily mundane habits.
Yeah.
And so when I think about, like, obviously 76 hard is a lot of things, but it is like a forced habit plan, if you will. And so that comes to mind when you're talking about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So when we talk about what is the homework, so you're going to see things like every single day there will be script practice. And the reason why we do that is because it doesn't matter how long you've been in the business, how many homes you're selling, there is always an opportunity to get better and get more refined with your scripts. And when we talk about, the upcoming NAR settlement and maybe compensation changes, I said this to our team yesterday, listen, if you're a great salesperson, you are honed in on your skills and you're honed in on presenting your value proposition, your value will never be in question, which means your compensation is never in question. And so, as your coaches and as your leaders, we're always going to put you in a position, regardless of your tenure, you are practicing your scripts and there's always an opportunity to get better. So you're going to see script practice as part of the homework. You're going to see lead gen as part of the homework. And this is why I always tell agents, there's a little fear that they have.
Hold on one second. They might be thinking, well, what scripts do I practice? All right. So first of all, you're not just thrown to the wolves and said, okay, go script practice with someone. We're going to talk about the Sales Rocket program in a second, which will give you the scripts. There's a specific script that you're practicing for that week. And we've updated several parts of the program, specifically with the changes that we're experiencing to NAR. Just to give you an idea, one of them is going to be practicing the script of explaining the buyer compensation. How do buyers now pay commissions? When you go from your buyer consultation to the buyer contract, what does that script look like? That's something new for a lot of you. So it's very relevant, it's very real, but you are given the script. So it's not just blindly, well, what do you want to role play today? You know exactly what the script is for the day or for the week.
Yeah. We also help you with identifying role play partners. So that's, we'll obviously talk about community and so forth in the group. You build community and you meet other great referral partners because we encourage you to get role play partners in the group. We'll support you in that. I also teach you the rules of role playing. We teach you the right way of role playing versus the wrong way of role playing. So that way we're effective in our script practice. So you're going to see a mix of script practice. You're going to see a mix of lead generation. And what I was saying before, Jeff mentioned, the new additions. As a real estate agent, you should be lead generating every single day. So, for those of you that ask like, hey, I'm doing this program, is this too much on top of this? Or, hey, I'm really busy servicing over here. Will I be able to do this too? My answer for you is you are supposed to be lead generating every single day if you want to have a business that doesn't fall in the real estate roller coaster of income generating versus income servicing. And so if you are struggling with being able to consistently lead gen every single day, 76 Hard is going to support you in that because we're expecting you to lead gen for a minimum of 90 minutes every single day. Now, we don't force you to call expireds. We don't force you to call, for sale by owners. Will I coach you in some ways and say, hey, try this, hey, do this? Yes, of course, to push you out of your comfort zone, but you get to lead gen your source of business. So if you're an agent who's already succeeding with database and maybe you want to double down on that, then you do your lead gen on database. So you'll see how we structure that for you. But yes, there is a minimum of 90 minutes of lead gen every single day.
Which in the grand scheme of things, 90 minutes, watch. the best of the best salespeople in the industry today are prospecting between 2 and 3 hours a day. I mean, I have coaching clients right now that are putting in between 3 and 4 hours of prospecting a day.
Yeah.
That's a little extreme. We don't ask you to do anything extreme. Will you be asked to do some things that are slightly uncomfortable? Sure, but nothing to that extreme. So 90 minutes is, again, back to what you said in the beginning, something that we all should be doing anyways.
Yeah. And then the last part of it is there's always going to be something new for implementation. As we're going through Sales Rocket, you're going to see a lot of those things that are in your homework. But sometimes it's, hey, you haven't really door knocked. So let's get out there and door knock, 5 homes. And I see Brandon's on, he's one of our panelists who said this wasn't really something that he did in the past. And 76 Hard, pushed him out of his comfort zone a little bit, and he has transactions to show from it. So you'll see there are some suggestions that we give you to support you in getting a little uncomfortable, so that way you grow. You always have told me when you're uncomfortable, you're growing. So we're putting you in that position.
What's so fascinating is I had people come up to me at the retreat, and they said, and you might be on, so that's cool. If you're on, you can go ahead and second this or raise your hand. I had so many people come up to me at the retreat and say, you know what, Jeff, I'm going to be real honest. I didn't finish all the homework, so I didn't finish 76 Hard, and so I lost my $1,000. But here's the deal. I have 3 transactions to show for it, because when I was plugged in, I did something that I would have never done had it not been for 76 Hard. And so I want to thank you.
Yeah.
And so I said, well, I wish we would have been able to give you your money back, but I'm glad that $1,000 turned into 9 or 12 or whatever it was.
Yeah, I see Nick is on, Nick Dijon. He was one at the retreat who came up to me and said that same thing. Like, hey, I'm glad you made us do A, B, and C, because as a result, now I have A, B, and C.
Right.
And I may not have had that had we not pushed you
Correct.
out of the comfort zone. So number 1 is homework. Again, just as far as implementation, it may be things like social media based, it may be database based, it may be door knocking, different types of things. Again, nothing that is insane, but all things that we know, and hopefully anyone who's on who maybe hasn't met Jeff and I before, I hope you can trust we are leading, the number 1 real estate team in the state of Michigan. We've been doing this, Jeff's been doing it for 20 years. I've been doing it for 12 years. We know what helps an agent succeed, right? So we're telling you the things that we know are going to bring transactions. We're not going to have you do, 50 jumping jacks or anything crazy like that. That's not going to lead to a transaction.
No.
Okay.
They're all things that either we're doing, things I'm doing personally, or things that we're asking our team to do.
Correct. So number 2, I want you to write down completion. I want you to write down completion. So you have 75 business days, or you have 75 days essentially of homework, okay? Now you have to complete all of the homework by November 18th. So Jeff already alluded to the fact, if you actually do the math, it's way more than 75 days when you count weekends.
Yeah.
That gives you the opportunity to catch back up if maybe you have a busy day and you can't get to the homework, or maybe you have a vacation, or whatever the case is.
Yeah, it's actually like 115 days. So you have 75 days. You have 115 days to do 75 days worth of homework.
Correct.
So there's a lot of leeway in there.
Yep. So for instance, if you miss a Monday, you can complete Monday's homework on a Saturday, or you can double up one Monday, right? You have that opportunity, and we do that because we know that, you can't reschedule vacations and stuff like that.
Yep.
Okay. So number 3, let's talk about how you show that you're completing the homework. So we have for number 3, I want you to write down posting of homework. All homework must be posted in one post in the 76 Hard Facebook group. So as you join, you will actually see previous attendees who did 76 Hard the last round. You're going to see examples of their posts. We ask you to post, essentially, you'll see it'll say like day 37, and it'll have pictures of the 4 or 5 things that you need to do. That's for accountability, because those of you who have taken the program before, I think it was Nick, you were the one who told me, he said he did his vision board, and I'm like, where's the picture of it? And he just had like pictures on his desk, and I'm like, no. You got to put it on a poster board. You got to put it up in front of you. There are little things like that where we're paying attention. We're holding you accountable to some of the things that you say that you're going to do, and we're going to challenge you. I may zoom in on your contact log and say, that only looked like 30 minutes, not 90 minutes. Are you sure you did 90 minutes of prospecting? Now, it's loving accountability. It's by no means micromanaging. Don't, be afraid that someone's going to challenge you on things. I always tell people, don't tell me how bad you want it, show me how bad you want it. And you'll show me how bad you want it by completing the tasks in 76 Hard, right? So when we talk about posting of the homework, we're just asking that you're posting once per day, your whatever your post is. Now, if you have
So this is like taking a picture of them, of the scripts written out, or taking a picture of their daily contact log.
Yep. And if you missed, some people were posting day like 37 when we were on day 75. That's because they missed that day previously and they had to catch back up. That's okay. You don't have to post every single day. I just need to be able, when I search your name in the Facebook group, I need to be able to see all 75 days of posts, and then obviously ask you questions as we're going through the 75 days and so forth. Okay. So with that being said, if you don't have Facebook, you're going to have to make one in order for this program to work for you. And the reason why we do it in Facebook is you'll see there will be community that is built. So a lot of our, second time attendees and people who have been in the Glover U world for a while will support you in different ways. They'll say, oh my gosh, that looks so great. You did such a nice job on that pre-listing package. Let me help you with this, or hey, can I role play with you? We do that because it's an opportunity for you guys to also meet one another, get referral partners, and obviously grow your business. Okay. Number 4, I want you to write down lead generation. Lead generation. So as we already mentioned, there's going to be 90 minutes of lead generation minimum per day. You will see I do give you the suggestion that if you're behind on your goals, 90 minutes should turn into 3 hours. Now, I'll let you decide that. We're not going to necessarily go through a business plan together in 75 Hard, but you should know where you're supposed to be in relation to your goals, and you should hold yourself accountable to kicking it up a notch or turning up the heat if you're falling behind. So when we talk about lead generation, I want you to write down, you choose your form of lead generation. We already kind of touched base on this. If you're an agent who already succeeds with expireds, then I'm going to ask you to double down on expireds. If you're already succeeding with, let's just say, circle prospecting or hybrid farming, then I'm going to coach you to double down on that. Will there be from time to time an opportunity where we say, hey, we want you to call 25 of the closest neighbors around a recent sale you had? Yes, because we want you to get experience with sources that you maybe haven't tried before because you don't know what you don't know. And so from time to time, we may ask you to do that. But as far as your 90 minutes of lead gen, you can do it in whatever source of business you feel most comfortable with. There's not a necessary requirement there that you have to do it in a specific source. Now, I will tell you, we will provide you at the beginning of the course a contact sheet. It's the Glover U contact sheet. It's also in the Glover U app if you're interested in looking at it. But essentially, that contact sheet tracks a couple different things. It tracks talk time. So you write down what time you start dialing. You write down what time you end dialing, so that way we can see it's the 90 minutes. You also are tracking contacts and appointments set during that time period. So there might be times, where I'll randomly comment in there and say, hey, your contact to appointment ratio is kind of low. What script are you using? Let me help you. And that's just additional coaching that we give because we love and we care about you and we want to see you succeed. So the contact sheet is there to support you as you're going through your calls. And I know many of our coaching clients and people who have gone through 76 Hard, they use that contact sheet every single day because it supports them in inspecting what they expect when it comes to their lead generation techniques. Next one.
Keep going.
All right, number 5, what do you need? Okay, I want to do 76 Hard. What are like the prerequisites? What are the requirements? You don't already have to be a coaching client with us. You don't already have to be in group coaching. The one thing that you will need in order to complete the program is Sales Rocket. And I saw someone in the chat ask what Sales Rocket is. It is essentially, if you were to join Glover Agency tomorrow, you're going to spend your first 2 weeks going through these 34 sessions. I always tell people it is everything that you need to know in regards to running a real estate business or being a successful real estate agent. There are videos on open houses. There are videos on buyer lead conversion. Jeff just recorded a brand new buyer list presentation and listing presentation. He'll talk about that in a minute. There's 34 sessions. It is literally everything you need to know to be a successful real estate agent.
All the sources of business are covered in there.
Correct.
The different methods of prospecting. It's not just cold calling and door knocking.
Handling seller objections, pricing presentation, you name it, it's in there. You do need that. And the good news is it's super low cost. It's literally $395. That's all it is, a one-time fee. And you get access. Yes, you get access to it for the entire year. So even after 76 Hard is over, you can go back and rewatch it. Now, here's the thing. Some of you have already gone through Sales Rocket. I know. Some of you already did 76 Hard and went through Sales Rocket. I'm going to have you go through it again. And the reason why is because you're at different places of your business and you hear things differently depending on where your business is and where your life is. And so you know, there is no such thing as hearing content that can help you grow your business too much. So yes, you are going to go through Sales Rocket again, and there's going to be homework assignments related to that sales rocket. So for instance, if, let's just say session 8 is on, buyer lead conversion. One of the days you're going to be expected to watch that sales rocket video, and you might be expected to write out the buyer lead conversion script for that day. Or you might be challenged to go look at your CRM and see what your drip campaigns look like and see how in line they are with what we were suggesting. So there's little things like that you're going to see throughout the sales rocket portion. Now I can tell you for the first 34 days, there's watching videos. So you have to be able to, use your computer, watch the sales rocket video, and then do the homework that is assigned to that day. After sales rocket is over, there's other new things that we add in to replace that time that you were previously watching sales rocket. So in total, as far as like time goes, it honestly is, if you're asking like how much time do I need to budget for this every single day, I'd say, you're looking at probably 2 to 3 hours, of
2 to 3 hours of putting time into completing the 76 hard tasks, which I wouldn't consider those 2 to 3 hours on top of what you're doing. It's probably 2 to 3 hours of things you should already be doing.
Correct.
So it's a good way to start your day with 2 to 3 hours of some solid productivity. And then whatever you're doing in the afternoon or into the evening, that'll take care of itself if you do what we instruct you to do for the first couple hours of each day. One of the things that I'm sure a lot of people are wondering, especially our second time through attendees, your Sales Rocket subscription is good for 1 full year. So if you bought Sales Rocket back in January, you're still good. You don't have to repurchase Sales Rocket. The only people that would have to purchase Sales Rocket is anyone that hasn't ever purchased it, or you purchased it before January of this year, because the Sales Rocket is good for a 1-year subscription. So for those of you that have done it before, that'll save you a few bucks on it. And also anyone who has bought it within the year, anytime we update new videos, they automatically get uploaded. So for instance, if you're taking 76 Hard for the second time, there's probably a few new videos in there that you might not have even noticed have been updated. We've gone through and updated a few of the videos based on the NAR settlement. And so, you'll see those in there as well.
And then as far as additional things, what you need, obviously you need a Facebook account. We already covered that. Obviously a phone call to make calls. You don't necessarily need a dialer or anything like that. You can hand dial. Now I'll always coach you. You'll be more effective if you're using a dialer, but it's not a requirement. You don't have to. And then you have to have the willingness to get outside of your comfort zone. I can tell you typically when we've run this in the past, the last couple of times, I typically will see people drop out within the first 30 days. Like if you're dropping out, you're usually dropping out in the first 30 days. And I know why that is because you get uncomfortable. And instead of pushing yourself outside of that comfort zone and forcing yourself to become a better version of yourself, you give up. Yeah. And so you'll see there's more accountability and there's more support in the first 30 days because we don't, Jeff said in the beginning, we don't make a penny off of this. We want to give you 100% of your money back and plus some because of the transactions that you get.
People have actually asked, okay, so Jeff, if you're being sincere about you really want us all to get our money back, then how do you win with 76 Hard? How does Glover U win? And if you want the truth, it's we win because now you'll say, you know what? I can afford to go to their next event. I can afford to maybe join their next program. So for us, we want to see you win so you have extra revenue to do whatever you want with. Hopefully you invest it in yourself and in your development. So that's how we win. Now, if you're ready for it, Taylor, I want to share some of the new features for those that have gone through it before and or those that are still kind of exploring. There's some new features I want to share. One of them that you mentioned is right around that 30-day period is where we see people that don't make it through. That's kind of like where we see a little bit of the initial drop off. And so what we've instituted for this round is there's now at the 30-day mark, there's a 45-minute live Q&A mastermind with Taylor and I, and of course our 76 Hard attendees. We added that at the 30-day mark. So all you got to do is get to 30 days. You make it to 30 days, you get a discussion with us, you get some best practices, and now we got to get you through the next 30 days because then there's going to be a mastermind that takes place between the two of us and those that are now 60 days in. And then, of course, there's the one at the 76th day. So we've added 2 live Q&A masterminds with Taylor and I, one at day 30 and one at day 60. And of course, there's the one for an hour with me at the end on day 76 for our completers.
In addition to that, there's sometimes I will just see in the group that maybe someone isn't doing the script practice correctly or someone's having a challenge with X. I'll go live in the Facebook group and I'll say, hey guys, just want to make sure everyone is clear on how to really execute on why, right? So know that that's just bonus, and that's just because we're here to support you.
So let me share with you some of the other stuff that's new. We've updated the database value proposition. So there's going to be things that we recommend you do to add value to your database. They are not the same things that we recommended during the first round. So you're going to get some new things to add value to your database, which of course adding value to your database is what causes you to stand out, what causes them to think of you. We've updated the lead conversion, and we've introduced a new buyer pre-qualification script. Both of those are going to be included as part of 76 Hard, and those are also going to be in the Sales Rocket program. That's a new buyer lead conversion script and a new buyer pre-qual script. Why did those get updated? Updated because of the NAR settlement. So those are going to be Department of Justice approved, if you will. Next, we updated both the buyer and seller appointment. So in the past Sales Rocket, we had a listing presentation that was maybe 2 years old and a buyer presentation that was probably 7 years old. And we've updated both of those as of like 2 weeks ago. So those are also NAR settlement, Department of Justice, whatever approved. We've got a new listing appointment and buyer appointment that's included as part of the Sales Rocket. And there will be homework assignments as it relates to 76 Hard in relation to those. We've updated the hybrid farming tasks. So you're going to be given some new ideas and things you can do to get more business from your farm. And there's going to be some tasks around that. And we've also updated the social media tasks. So, of course, social media is always evolving. We want to make sure that you're staying ahead of your competition. So several of the tasks that we're going to assign are going to be new for this round of 76 Hard as well. So those are some of the new things that we've included. We added one more. There's now a new meetup for the 76 Hard people that completed, all right, at the summit. So the summit takes place this year in Phoenix again in January. We're going to have an organized meetup for those that completed. And it'll be great to continue that community. And that's probably the number one thing that I see come out of this, Taylor, is the community that was created, the role play partners, the accountability, this community, these people are still talking to each other regularly or role playing, semi-regularly. And so we want to do everything we can at Glover U to continue to encourage that and make that happen for you. One thing I did have written down, a lot of people ask the question, what kind of results can I expect? And I'm going to be real honest with you, and I told the group this last time, you won't experience almost any results in August, and almost probably none in September. Your first 30 days in the program, you'll have zero results from your efforts. All right. That's just because of the industry we're in. I wrote down October is when you'll start seeing, oh my gosh, this thing works. I'm starting to see, I got a couple extra pending deals now. I got a couple extra listings now that I never would have had. Mm-hmm. And then November and December is when you're going to start to see some consistent paychecks come in from the 76 Hard program. We know that because that's the same thing I told the group that did it in the spring, and they all confirmed, yep, I almost had no result from the first 30 days. The next 30 days, I started to see the light at the end of the tunnel. I had a couple extra pendings that I wouldn't have had, or a new listing that I would have went after, or whatever. And then, yes, the last 2-3 weeks of 76 Hard is when all of a sudden I had all these paychecks start showing up. So coincidentally, guess what happens in the last 2 to 3 weeks of 76 Hard? Well, if it ends on November the 18th, then that means you're in store for what could be the best holiday season of your career. I mean, honestly, what would you do with an extra 10 grand, 15 grand, 20 grand, 30 grand, whatever it's going to be for you, depending on how much you buy into this program? That's the great thing about the ending of this and the timing. October, November, it's consistent. Checks are showing up on top of what you're already doing, because we have a lot of producers that go through this and already have 4, 5, 6, 7 checks per month. So that's the reason for the timing, and I love the way that lines up.
Yeah, ultimately, and I said this to you earlier, what would you do with an extra $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 this holiday season? How would that impact your own real life? How would that impact your family, your spouse, significant other, kids, right? What kind of holiday could you provide for them, or vacation, or whatever the case is? So, if you're my response is this, and we do have a video that we're going to play, Jeff, before we end. My response is twofold. Basically, number one, if you are on pace for your goal and you're doing well, this is something that's going to push you out of your comfort zone to show you what you can achieve that you may have never realized. Also, it's very easy sometimes when you realize you're on pace for your goal to start coasting. And this is going to support you so you don't coast, right? And sometimes when we coast, we end up falling behind and you're like, man, what happened? In July, I was on pace for my goal and now come, December, I'm far behind. Well, I can tell you what ended up happening is you took your foot off the gas. So this is our way of helping you with that. If you're behind on your goal, this is going to be the opportunity for you to kind of shock the system. Honestly, when we created 76 Hard for our real estate team, it's because I went to Jeff last year and I said, I got to shock the system. I said, I got to find a way to kind of, again, I don't know another term other than shock everyone into what they should be doing. And so that's how we developed this. And, it just obviously grew from there. So it's a way to shock your system so that way you get back into the habits that you're supposed to be doing. And you have someone who's holding you accountable on a daily basis, reminding you what you should be doing. I know that all of us, and I'm not telling you anything, and anyone on this webinar doesn't know, what you should be doing every day. The challenge is you don't always do it. And so this is a program that's going to support you even further on, okay, here's what you're supposed to be doing. Okay, here's, when you're supposed to do it by, okay, here's what it's supposed to look like. Don't fall behind, right? And so my suggestion for you is regardless of where you are in your business, you can benefit from this program. And it's not an expense, it's an investment. You're supposed to get your money back, right? And so someone always, I'll always get asked the question of, does this make sense for me? Or can I do this with this? My answer is, for those of you that know me, I'm a little direct. And my response back is, well, are you willing to bet on yourself? If you're not willing to bet on yourself, then don't take 76 hard. But if you trust in yourself and you are willing to bet on yourself, you're going to do great. You're going to make way more, than $1,000. And, that's obviously then what supports you in living your own real life.
Yeah. So a couple things just to be clear. You have to put up $1,000 up front. Your card gets striped for $1,000. It gets held essentially in an escrow account. And then at the completion of the program, you get that $1,000 back. That's the nice thing. We had over 50% of the people that took it last time got their money back. I would imagine this time around we're going to have even more because a lot of those people are signing up for the extra accountability again. But you do have to, regardless, have a Sales Rocket subscription, which is a $395, and you have that for a year. All right. If you already have your Sales Rocket subscription from this year, you're good. You don't need to rebuy it. But if you've never bought Sales Rocket or it's been before 2024, then yes, you will need to pay the $395 to Sales Rocket. And that is a value that sticks with you. That's not money you get back or anything. You do whatever you want with that program. Obviously, you're going to use it a lot during 76 Hard. Somebody asked the question, what if I want to sign up my whole team? Is there team pricing on Sales Rocket? Yes. If you email us, info@gloveru.com, they will put together a special pricing depending on how many team members you have, because it is one account per agent, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So you just email us at info@gloveru.com and they'll help you get that coordinated.
Yep. So I think we have a video that we're going to queue up for you before we leave you with a couple extra words. So if we could have that brought up.
And also, while the video is playing, if you want to throw some questions in the chat, we said we're going to go to 11:55. So, we got another 10 minutes or so after the video to answer any questions you have. So just throw those in the chat and we'll answer them when we come back.
Exactly to your point that you're going to see the results 30, 60, 90 days. We started February 1st and April, I had 10 closings. Just to be surrounded by this group of people that is working at this high of a level, I don't see that in my market center. I don't see that on my team. I don't have people locally that are trying to go after the same goals. Yeah. So to have people every day, like working just as hard as you and just as consistently fires me up.
Okay, not sure. I guess she stole the show with that one. Do we know what's going on? Who's running the video?
Alana.
Okay, so Alana, do you know that it stopped on our end? She might not know. All right, so we'll get back to that. But as you're thinking about it, what are some of the questions that you have? This would be your opportunity to throw those in the chat, and we're here to answer any questions you have as it relates to 76 Hard or Sales Rocket. Oh, we're going to try this again.
Able to see people's growth has just been fantastic. So I appreciate
We'll be
you
back.
guys.
Yeah, that's really cool. Thanks for saying that.
Definitely learned a lot about building consistent habits to the point where getting up in the morning and getting on the phone at 8 every day to start the 90-minute lead gen just became natural. I really appreciate you putting this together. This was literally one of the best things I've ever done. So thank you for that.
I was at the summit and I heard it being advertised and I thought, this is what I need. And then today when I was at the office, I actually didn't even think, it was just automatic. So here is my current day, here is my script, and I even had the role play. So I plan to continue it.
I'm just so excited. I literally started real estate the first day of 75 Hard.
That's great. That's
one
great.
of the things I said to my team lead, and so thank you everybody, thank you all you role play partners. But one of the things when I started before 75 Hard or at the retreat, and you talked about door knocking, I said to my team lead, do people really do that? And I have found that that is one of my favorite things to do. And I am closing my first buyer side. I've had 2 listings and I have 4 coming up this week.
Yeah.
And I did it because I door knocked somebody I would have never door knocked, and they didn't have any real estate needs. And I stood there very, very nervously and said, but do you know anyone that does? And sure enough, they did. And it's closing and it's exciting.
Kristen, I love your energy. I'm going to give you advice. The same advice I was taught early on by a gentleman by the name of Floyd Wickman. He said, stay new. I mean, I thought this was all about becoming experienced and all that. He said, nope, stay new.
Number one, I probably wouldn't have betted on myself and much more put up $1,000 to bet on my own self. But I'm gonna tell you, going into this, Jeff, I was nervous as a bowl of yak. I was turning around at the door, no, I'm not gonna do it at the summit. And I said I was gonna do it. So I did it. And I did it with my team, and it was an awesome thing. But I'm gonna tell you the one thing that I got out of this, Jeff.
Please.
And that's, for the first time in my 12 years, I understand my job as a real estate professional. I've never role played with anybody on a consistent basis. I wouldn't do it probably. And I didn't script right. And then I found my commitment to this and it increased my commitment to myself. And then to my clients, it just my whole commitment level, my customer service and my customer experience, it changed for me. I closed 6 transactions in 1 week, but it was just transformational. That's what this was.
Action creates momentum, right? There's no such thing as stability in real estate. You either got positive momentum or you got negative momentum.
I just wanted to say that 75 Hard is the best experience I've had ever. My open houses, Jeff, I kill them now. I nailed them.
This forced me to not want to fail. All the stuff I've learned from all the conferences of going to, I had to implement it. And I had a lot of, I'd made such a good network being part of Glover that they were also encouraging. When I felt like it was frustrating or I couldn't post for a little bit on the page, they're like, hey, do you really want to give up now? Like, put it all back together, do all this stuff. So yeah, it was really rewarding.
And the thing is that with this program, it gives you the confidence to talk to people in a broad array of knowledge that I didn't have before.
That's the biggest challenge agents have when they want to go from here to here. They don't shock their system enough. They only tweak a few things and it's not enough.
Because we had the momentum, because it was like I had role play partners I had to get to, like it just didn't allow me to kind of slow down and kept that momentum going, which was huge.
What was cool about that is that was supposed to be a mastermind, and after like 15 minutes in, I had to shut everyone up and say, guys, this is for you. I don't need to hear about how great the program is. Just let's talk. All right. Where are you at right now? What can I do to help you keep moving forward? So all of those, I can promise you, were unsolicited. Some of you may have been on that. And I finally stopped it and said, okay, I'm done hearing great things about the program. Let's talk about how we're going to win in the second half. So there were some questions in the chat and we're going to get to those now. So Taylor, why don't we go through those one by one?
Yep. So Bobby asked the question first, is it possible to find out who is taking the course in our same location so we can be accountable to one another? Yes, absolutely. You'll see there's a couple things that we do as far as one, one, in the Facebook group, doing introductions, but two, getting you that information so that way you can find role play partners in your same time zone and so forth. Now, I will challenge you. You should not have role play partners just in your own market or in your same territory. You know, if you're in the West Coast, you should have East Coast role play partners, because everyone communicates differently and everyone has different personality styles. So you'll see we actually encourage you to have 5 different role play partners. That's on purpose, because you should have 5 different dialects, personality styles, so forth. Okay. Janet asked if we take a Monday off, can we work Saturday or Sunday? Yes, absolutely. As long as you have all of the days completed by the end of the program, you receive your money back and actually complete it. Don't cheat yourself.
And by the way, I will say this, I don't want you to feel like, well, am I going to be the only one that's behind? No, you'll see in the Facebook group, you know, after 5-6 days, usually everyone's pretty good 5-6 days in because it's Monday through Friday. Well, then the first weekend comes, or you take off a Friday, and then the very next Monday, someone's posting, here's my homework from Friday and Monday. And so you're not going to be alone if you're feeling like right away, I've got a vacation, so I know I'm already going to fall a week behind. No, there's people that fall a few days to a week behind right away. And that's okay, because again, you've got like 115 days to do 75 days worth of stuff.
When is the next one? So bad news, it's not going to be until 2025. So it'll be February 2025. And the reason why I say bad news is because you should never delay your success. So anything you can do to try to get in the 2024 one, I encourage you to do so. Next one will be February 2025. Let's see what else here. Sales Rocket is 34 sessions. Daily time commitment to complete the task. Again, you know, typically we're looking at like 2 to 3 hours. And again, it's all tasks that you really should be doing anyways. You should be lead generating every single day. So it shouldn't be something that's considered crazy for anyone. Christina, great question, asked, what is the deciding factor of us getting our money back? It is completing and posting all of the 75 days of homework. So for instance, say on one of the days, you know, there were 3 homework tasks, but you only did 1 of the 3 homework tasks. That doesn't cut it. You have to do all 3 of the tasks, you know, 4 of the tasks, whatever it is for that day, by the end of November. So, you know, and I work with you on it. Obviously, we're here to support you, and we're also here to hold you accountable.
Yeah.
So I would, you know,
I would say
that.
this, yeah. If you feel like, you know, you're behind, or you're not completing your homework correctly, we're not going to just let you fail.
Yeah.
You know, I see Taylor in there commenting on people's posts, you know, to help them out. And I know you start engaging with some people and whatnot, but no, we want to do everything we can to keep you on track.
Yeah. When does it begin? It starts August 5th. So essentially, what is that, Monday? Monday?
Yeah, I guess. It's Monday, August 5th, whatever August 5th is.
Does 76 hard relate to a specific goal, like 5 more closings at the end of the year? It really is different for each person. I don't know if you want to, you know, take that one as far as, you know, okay,
Yeah.
Can you count on X? I mean, honestly, my response to you, Ying, is how bad do you want it and what price are you willing to pay?
Yeah.
If you really want it bad, then you're going to put in more effort over and above what 76 hard is.
If I had to say, based on just people that I've talked to that completed the program, removing the few exceptions. I mean, we had a few people add 20, 30 transactions to their business by the time they were done with this. Removing those, and then also removing those that didn't do anything but for maybe the first couple weeks, I would say most people probably closed an extra 6 to 8 transactions by the time, you know, they were 30, 60 days after the end of the program. That's the thing. The majority of your transactions that you close from this program are going to show up in like day 60 and beyond. So the program's over and you're closing transactions that you created on day 37. So I would say a safe bet for those that really go all in on this, or it'd probably be an additional 6 to 8 transactions. Some are going to do more, some are going to do less.
Brenda, do I have to do door knocking? Yes. Don't be mad, but yes. And the reason for that is because it's not going to be crazy. It's not like you have to door knock 100 doors.
No.
You know, we may have you door knock your neighbors. We may have you door knock an expired. You don't know what you don't know, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's our job as coaches to sometimes push you outside of your comfort zone so that way you can experience different sources of business. And I know that there's people who took the first launch and, you know, they came back and said, man, I didn't know that I actually enjoy this source, or I thought I sucked at open houses. And the thing is I didn't. I actually just wasn't doing them correctly. Mm-hmm. So yes, there will be times that you're, you know, I always see it. Everyone kind of groans on some of the homework assignments that I post. That's okay. right? That's not consistent, or meaning like it's not every day of, crazy things that you have to do. But yeah, every once in a while, we're going to do something that's going to push you outside of your comfort zone, and it's for your greater good. Okay.
And you can always make that up. So if you do, for whatever reason, you weren't able to do that assignment that day, then you do it later in the program, as long as you do it before the completion of the program.
Ashley asked, should our role play partners also be in 76 hard? They don't have to be in 76 hard, but it is better if they are, because you want them role playing with you the scripts that we're suggesting, right? The expired script, for sale by owner script, circle prospecting, open house, NAR scripts, whatever it is. So if they're not in 76 hard, they should at least be very familiar with the Glover U scripts, because ultimately having a strong role play partner helps you get better. Is Sales Rocket available if I decide to do a different training? You absolutely can sign up for Sales Rocket at any time. That is available to all. Otherwise, I think that's, what if my team leader has already purchased Sales Rocket? You need to be able to watch the recordings while we're telling you to watch them. So my suggestion for you, Chantel, is that you should probably have your own. For anyone who's curious what Sales Rocket is, I know we already covered that it's 34 sessions, but the easiest way that I explain it is it's kind of like a Netflix account. So you can watch it as fast as you want. You can watch it as slow as you want. Essentially, when you open back up Sales Rocket, it's going to show you left off on whatever video you left off on. So that's why you really need your own account, so that way you can watch it at the pace at which we're telling you to watch it, and you won't screw up anyone else's videos or so forth. So Sales Rocket, absolutely, without a doubt, it does not matter what production level you're at, you will be learning something from Sales Rocket.
Unless your team's not using it and you're the only one that uses it.
Yep. Otherwise, I think that those are the majority of the questions, Jeff.
Awesome. So one last time, if they want to sign up, gloveru.com/76.
Yep, they're dropping it in the chat for you.
gloveru.com/76 is how you sign up. I know we're going to have a lot of people that end up listening to this maybe on a podcast or watching a YouTube later, so we want to share that a few times. And if you have any questions before you sign up, you may email us at info@gloveru.com. That's info@gloveru.com. Listen, we would not be the fastest growing training and coaching company on the planet if we did not treat people correctly. So I can tell you, we want to see you win. We want to see you make it to the end, and we want to give you your money back. We've got over 100 people that can affirm that they received their money back at the end of the program. And I promise you, after you go through Sales Rocket, that alone is a value in itself. Forget about the 76 hard money back guarantee thing. The Sales Rocket itself is going to be something that's going to stick with you for the rest of your career. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys at the 30-day mark, the 60-day mark, and then, of course, for the mastermind at the end for those of you who complete it. Good luck. We'll see you guys.
Bye.